Hi everybody, I'm Ryan. Today we're going to talk about blue-white Affinity in Pauper. This is a little bit of a new hotness deck, and I know I'm a little bit late to the party in making a video, but with the common printing of all that glitters, it created this new archetype. And today we're going to talk about the overall strategy of the deck, card choices, and how to play the deck. Let's jump into it. So this is my blue-white Affinity deck. And the big idea of the deck is sort of just to puke as many threats onto the battlefield as possible, to create as many artifacts and/or enchantments as possible, draw a bunch of cards with one of Mind Thought casts, interrupt what our opponent is trying to do or how our opponent is trying to interact with us with Metallic Rebuke, and then play all that glitters and pump for like 10 or 11 and kill our opponent very quickly. Let's talk about each card individually. We're playing a bunch of artifact lands, the white artifact land, the blue artifact land, and the come into play tapped multicolored artifact land, as well as a few Darksteel Citadels to help with the synergy of our All That Glitters and our Affinity cards. We're playing 4 Ornithopter. Ornithopter serves a few purposes. 1, it's a really easy way to create color with Springleaf Drum. 2, it's a free artifact that pumps up all that glitters. 3, when we attack with Ornithopter, it having flying, we can ninjutsu Moon Circuit Hacker very easily and then just be able to play Ornithopter again. And it's an easy affinity card similar to the artifact lands for these affinity cards, Frogmite, Mirror Enforcer, and Thoughtcast. We're playing 1 Thraben Inspector. Thraben Inspector's actually like a super needed card for the deck. It creates a clue token, so that's kind of an artifact that pumps all that glitters. It lets us dig a little bit deeper, but also, especially post-board, the way that other decks interact with this deck is artifact hate. And if we don't kill in one attack when we all that glitters something, they can kind of just like remove the artifact that it's on and we die. And so if we all that glitters anything but a Moon Circuit Hacker or a Thraben Inspector, we're in a lot of trouble regarding that. And so having Thraben Inspector, so that especially post-board, we can all that glitter something and not worry about artifact hate is super, super important. We're playing 4 Ginger Brute, Ginger Brute being a 1 mana 1/1 with haste. We can pay 1 mana or it can't be blocked except by creatures with haste, which essentially makes it unblockable, especially in this format. And we can pay 2 mana, tap it, sacrifice it, and gain 3 life, which is actually pretty good against burn. So this is one of the favorite things, in addition to Ornithopter, frankly, to put all that glitters on, where we can effectively make it unblockable, and the only danger is that it being an artifact. Playing 4 Springleaf Drum. Colors can sometimes be difficult because it's really important we play these artifact lands to synergize with our deck. And frankly, we're a tempo deck. We're drawing a bunch of cards. We're countering a bunch of spells. We're trying to puke as many threats on the battlefield as fast as possible. And mana ramp, in addition to artifact, like with Springleaf Drum, is really important. Now, the card that made this all possible is All That Glitters. All That Glitters is a 2 mana enchantment where you enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact and/or enchantment you control. And if you notice, everything except for our card advantage, our counter magic, 2 islands produce an artifact and/or enchantment. And so if this deck pukes their hand on the battlefield as fast as possible, slaps an All That Glitters on something, often the All That Glitters is pumping for between 8 and 12 by turn 3. And if you have that on an evasive creature like Ornithopter or Ginger Brute, that's even better. And it can close out the game very quickly. If they answer the creature with all that glitters on it, we have so many other threats that it's just so hard to answer. Playing 4 Moon Circuit Hacker. Moon Circuit Hacker is a really cool card when you have a bunch of cards that you can cast for 3, like Ornithopter and Frogmite and sometimes Mirror Enforcer. But we can Jitsu it for 1. And Jitsu means you return an unblocked attacker you control to your hand. Put this card into the battlefield from your hand, tapped and attacking. This is really good alongside cards like Ornithopter or even Ginger Brute, just evasive creatures in general. And when it deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card unless Moon Circuit Hacker enter the battlefield this turn. So the turn it comes in, you just get to draw a card, and then pretty much everything in our deck costs 1 or often nothing, and so you just replay the card that you returned to your hand with Moon Circuit Hacker, and then you have another threat. Notice Moon Circuit Hacker as well is an enchantment that pumps all that glitters, and I guess the only real non-bow with the deck is you returning something with all that glitters on it is kind of bad. But you just don't do that. Return of Thraben Inspector is extra cute because you get the end of the battlefield effect again. And we just use all these cards to keep pumping through our deck. Metallic Rebuke is our interaction because this is a very one-sided, really linear strategy. And frankly, it's reasonably easy to interrupt besides the fact that we go really wide and draw a bunch of cards. So it's really important we protect the creature we put all that glitters on. So Metallic Rebuke in this deck ends up being a 1 blue mana leak. It's 3 mana, but has Improvise, where you can tap your artifacts to pay for generic mana, and counter target spell unless this controller pays 3. And it's actually very easy to leave that 1 blue mana up because of cards like Springleaf Drum. We're playing 3 One of Mine. One of Mine costs 2 less if you control a human and a non-human creature. Draw 2 cards, so really it's 1 mana, draw 2 cards, which is pretty solid because Thraben Inspector and Moon Circuit Hacker are humans. Everything else is a non-human, so it's reasonably easy to be able to cast this. But not as easy as Thoughtcast, which is 5 mana, however has affinity for artifacts, which means it costs 1 less for each artifact you control, draw 2 cards. So really, this is another 1 mana, draw 2 cards. It's just much easier to get Thoughtcast off for 1 mana than One of Mine, which is why I do a 4 in 3 split. And then more cards that hold this deck together is Frogmite, which is a 4 mana 2/2 with affinity for artifacts, and Mirror Enforcer, which is a 7 mana 4/4 with affinity for artifacts. Very often, especially Frogmite, we are just playing for free because we have this affinity. It's more cards that we can just puke onto the battlefield, put a ton of power onto the battlefield, put artifacts easily on the battlefield, continue to like draw cards with Thoughtcast, make all that glitters even better, and we just kind of puke stuff on the battlefield, draw a bunch of cards, and protect it. And that's pretty much the deck. Now, if we look at the sideboard, Destroy Evil is really good against decks with creatures or enchantments that can kill, obviously. Dust to Dust, very good against artifact decks like the Mirror Match or Grixis Affinity. Blue Elemental Blast and Hydro Blast come in against mostly like Burrow Synthesizer, but especially Burn. And then 4 Relic of Progenitus, really good against the Tolarian Terror and Gurmag Angler decks. That is Blue-White Affinity in Pauper. If you like this video and like videos like this and these deck showcases, deck techs, please be sure to like and subscribe. Check me out on social medias. Links are above me and in the description, especially on Twitter and Discord. Join the communities there and on Patreon, where I post cool sideboard guides and a bunch of other awesome stuff. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.